Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Today, we got another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, this time for September 8th, 2021. This is going to be your midweek video covering all of the greatest varieties and errors to have sold on eBay here in the last day or two. Lots of great stuff to talk about, of course, and we have another lineup. We got 30 more coins. Boy, we got some actual spice up in this list today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But if this is your first time here, what exactly is a good old Pocket Change Market Report? Well, I have my own little acronym that I use. It's called the PCMR, or the initials. Just to kind of make it easy, so if you hear me refer to the PCMR, that is this market report you're watching today. And what this is this is going to be a compilation of a various amount of errors and varieties that have been found by such means as, like, you know, going through Pocket Change, going through bank rolls. A lot of folks like to go to the banks. They pick up a number of rolls and they search through them. They'll find key dates. They'll find, like I said, varieties. Some examples of these varieties entail like double dies, repunchment marks, transitional, type of changeover coins as well. They all kind of fit that mold of a variety. And then, of course, there's errors. Anything made in error by a U.S. Mint press or employee, without them being discovered and has, subsequently went into circulation, would fit that mold as being an error. Generally, the difference between an error and a variety is such that varieties tend to get re-minted over and over again of that same anomaly, whereas an error can be like a one-time occurrence. Something that happens, whether it's like an off-center strike or something to that effect, that issue has been found. Either the coin's been pulled, the dies have been reworked or changed, and they commence with the regular scheduled mintage of, our U.S. coinage. So that's kind of like, in a nutshell, the overall definition of that. In addition, there's also cherry picking that goes on. People like to attend coin shows. They like to drop by their local coin shop. Generally, they'll go through inventory for of these dealers, looking for, errors and varieties, paying what the normal market price is for a non-variety or non-error, and then, they could add it to their collection. They could go ahead and flip it, double their money, things like that. It's a common practice, and, even I still do it to this day when I get the opportunity. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at all the coins here from the last day or two. And another thing to point out, all these coins are raw. None are graded. There's really no use of sending these off to a grading company like PCGS or NGC, having to spend $30, $40 to get it graded and attributed, while the coin will still be worth the same amount of money as if it were raw. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense to do that, and that's why we only do raw coins and currency on this list. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and jump into the first set of listings. We got 30 coins, and we're going to start off with this really neat 2007 Philadelphia Struck Lincoln Memorial cent. This one is in really nice shape. But you'll see this coin and immediately notice that, it's a little bit off-center. There looks and appears to be a few scratches right on the copper plating, which is quite normal on this type of error, but the seller had added this side edge view image here to help illustrate a different cause of what we're seeing here. This is actually a partial tilted collar. So when the coin is struck, right, the blank is being fed into the striking chamber. Before the striking action occurs, there's a little collar, all right? Think of it as like a ring that pops up and it's spring-loaded. It actually holds the coin in place in that striking chamber. So when this collar is a little bit tilted, all right, it's not going to capture the entire strike, all right? So that's why this side right here looks good, while this side right here looks like it's enlarged a little bit. Some of that metal flow has gone outwards. But when you see this kind of like beveled stepped edge right here, what they call railroad, like a railroad track appearance, This is where the part of the collar that's not all the way set up to hold the coin in place has been struck into. All right, so pretty looking coin, very neat oddity for sure. These coins are worth a few bucks in this particular case for this decent looking example. It sold for $9.45. A lot of folks like to look for these type of coins on things like quarters and half dollars. They just seem to have a lot more desirability, appeal. They command more money on the secondary market for such a error. The subject coin of the week is going to be this 2008 P Roosevelt Dime. I think the last time that I've talked about this particular coin was probably about a year ago. It's been quite some time, but that last example sold really well on eBay at that time, and this one did as well. But this one has a really nice sized cud. See how thick that die break is that goes from the edge to Roosevelt's head, and then all of a sudden you have all these little cracks that go into his hairline area. But this is a really neat error. You just don't see this particular one that often. I would say it's quite scarce, but I would say there's not a lot of people that like to look through Roosevelt dimes. I think this particular denomination is one of those coins that gets zero love for hunters, even for the fact that this denomination does have 90% silver in it. It's just the size. They're cumbersome. It's like really hard to hold because of their size. But this is definitely one to look out for. Bar none, anything with shattered dies or die breaks on Roosevelt dimes are quite regarded and coveted on the coin error market. This one right here, 8 bids combined, and it sold for $37.50. The next one that we have here is a 1957D wheat cent. Now this time we have a pair of clips. We got a couple of curved clips, and they're like right directly opposite of each other, which I think is very cool. But this one right here is a neat error. The coin is in actually pretty nice shape for its age. And this one, 6 bids combined, sold for $8.45. Clips come up very frequently when you're going through change searching. You can even find them in more modern coins. And then also from the same seller, we have a 1950 something. All right, so there's obviously something covering the date, but this is a Lincoln wheat cent with an apparent cud die break right over the date. This thing is really cool. You don't see this quite that often. This particular one, I don't recall if I've ever seen this particular cud before, but it's right good size. It's quite chunky, and a piece of the die had fallen off just through basic wear and tear, but this is a pretty right good size piece of the die that had fallen off, and then when the coin is struck, it's going to show as a blank anomaly on the coin, and it's raised too. It's like a blob. This one right here, 9 bids together, sold for $55.95. Again, cuds are winning the day. These are some of the most desirable, if not the most valuable of error coins to find out in change and out at the shows today. Definitely keep an eye out for these. Some dealers also underprice them as well. So if you could pick something like this up for like 10 to 20 bucks, that's a heck of a score. And when you get into much older, obsolete coinage like wheat cents, buffalo nickels, and things of that nature, they're just more meaningful to collectors. Now here's our first little bit of paper money. You're probably seeing double, and so am I, but we have a 1977 series $20 Federal Reserve note. Now, yes, there is some doubling going on here. The first print has been doubled up here, so it got printed twice. You can just see that in the signature. It's very, very apparent. But overall, man, this thing is pretty nuts. You don't see doubled print errors quite that often. This one right here is a little bit subtle, but if you paid attention to it, you'll be able to see it. Now, what's not doubled on this is going to be the third printing elements, like the district seals, both this black and green one here, the serial numbers, and then the quad corner digits. So the 4 7s that you see here will not be double printed. On the back, it's just a normal second print on there. This one sold for a lot of money, $499.99. Again, more than likely you're going to find something like this on the show circuit. So, you know, if someone likes, you know, for example, selling this for like $200 to $300 raw, that's a huge acquisition. Most people I know would probably send this off to like PCGS Currency to get graded, or PMG. And that's where more than likely these should head off to before they're sold. You'll find that a note like this, while this one sold for $500, will be worth about $1,000 in a graded holder. It just makes that big of a difference. All right, so we got another currency item here. We actually have a full BEP bank strap of $1 bills. It's $100 face. And it's real simple. If you're looking to make some extra money, how about grab some of these BEP straps? They are out there. You do have to ask for them. When they go to order these notes from the Fed Reserve, they will come in this way. But most banks are going to be conditioned as part of their processes to break the strap, paper strap sleeve on there and count them through the machines. Okay, you want to try and tell them, don't do that. I just want to take the BEP straps as they are. You know, it's just $100 face in here, but you know, the strap paper will say BEP on them. All right, so that's important. Make sure that's on there. And you know, it's sold for $150. I think at the end of the day, by the time you factor in shipping and eBay fees, you're easily going to make $30, $35 per strap on this. So, you know, if you're looking to do that and you have access to BEP straps, you know, you could buy $1,000 face and possibly make, what, $300, $400, $500 profit off of something like that. I mean, that's not bad. We are coming up to the holidays here. You know, I had talked about searching for star notes and just selling them in batches of $100 face. That's another good idea, another great way to make money really easily. It's almost like without trying. You just have to go to the bank and ask for a bunch of ones, and then you're all set. But again, this is another great kind of like easy cash grabby method of making a few bucks here and there. Some people say, well, you know, it seems like a lot of hassle and effort for just $300, $400, but I'm guaranteeing you, if you don't have to do anything to the straps or modify them in any such way to help with the sale, it is an easy flip. Keep that in mind. Now here's a coin that you don't see outside of a graded holder that often, but we have a 1971D. It's a Denver coin. Can't believe it's a Denver coin that we're looking at. This is a Lincoln Memorial cent that was actually inadvertently struck on a dime planchet. All right, so as you can see, the coin is a lot smaller. You know, part of Liberty's cut off, and so is the motto, "In God We Trust." A dime planchet is going to be thinner than a penny planchet, so you're also going to get some general weakness in the strike as well, and that is very apparent on the reverse here. But yeah, your coin will appear silvered. All right, so it's going to have that traditional clad appearance to it. This one will kind of fool a few people into thinking that maybe it was plated or something, but as long as you know exactly what you're looking for, if you got a scale, make sure you weigh this. It's going to have a certain weight that is more commensurate with what a Roosevelt Dime planchet would weigh at, then you're going to be in good shape. This one looks like it's circulated a good deal, so these are out there to be found. Let's not kid ourselves. It might be probably one of the more scarcer items to look for, but, you know, this will go in great along that kind of like laundry list of finds, along with all of the easier things, you know. So you just put it all together into one tight kind of like educational package, and then you're in good shape. This one realized $298.99, and that's kind of like at what's at stake for these type of errors. We do have a 1984 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is actually one of my favorite varieties, but this is just a really nice peachy coin. It does have some of those pimply kind of like plating blisters on there. You know, it's kind of, you know, so some people love it, some people hate it, but that's just impurities underneath the copper plating. So, you know, they're not going to have, you know, quite the adhesion to that zinc core, you know, as you would like. But this one, as you guys would know, this one is the doubled ear variety, or it's the doubled die obverse FS101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. You can see the extra earlobe right here. This one is unmistakable. All right, there is nothing else quite like it. This one, for being a raw example, not too bad. Plus, you know, it does have some carbon spotting on there for condition notes. Sold for $69, and that's with 20 total bids. So I'd say that is a kind of a home run. I've seen coins like this in a little bit better shape sell for about 125 to 150 bucks. So this is a pretty good score right here. Now here's another broad strike, this time a 1989 P. We have a Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel, and this is an uncentered broad strike. So again, that collar wasn't quite there when this thing was struck, so a lot of the metal flow went outwards. And that's what we're seeing right here. All right, so this one right here sold for $28. It's, you know, it's a very nice, lustrous, mid-state example of this error. Not quite mid-state, but we have a 1993 P this time, Jefferson Nickel, a little bit newer coin. This one has also a double clip, and gosh, believe it or not, you know, the clips are almost directly across from each other. Because normally you would see kind of like that Blakesley effect. And that's what you normally would look for on a genuine clip. That Blakesley effect is just simply the flattening of the opposite edge rim. So if it was just a single clip, you would look at actually this area right here to find that Blakesley effect on that rim area. But this one sold for $29.95, which is a pretty good amount of money. Probably a little bit more than I thought that this one would go for. This looks like normally like a $10, $15 coin. But it's all good. This is good gravy right here. But it just shows you that the error coin market is quite strong right now. Now this seller had sold a lot of 6 Lincoln wheat cents, and they're all dated 1955D. What you're going to look at is for the BIE die chips, and that's B and E in Liberty. If you're looking at the coin, there's going to be a little die chip that forms in between these two letters in the word Liberty, or these two letters rather. And it takes the shape of a letter I, and that's how it gets its namesake, BIE die chip. And these are attributed on websites like cudsoncoins.com. You'll find these on there. But as you can see, there's a couple different progressions, different shapes of this particular BIE die chip. And again, these are all 1955D Lincolns. The set of 6, and I believe they're all AU condition, is what the seller had mentioned, sold for $34. Wow, that's actually quite good. Minus shipping, that puts the per piece slot at $5, which is solid. That's about how much normally you would pay for a regular BIE coin from the 50s before shipping. So that is right along the lines of the perfect rate for these. 1943 Lincoln Steel Cent. Man, good to see one of these on here, and it's for a good reason. This one is in pretty decent shape. It's got little stains and rust stain areas on there. Like you can see on Lincoln's jacket, those right there are actually kind of etched into the surface. It might have been a little bit of moisture at one time. Even has a little booger variety there, but that's actually another spot as well. But up close, we have a retained die break, or this is going to be a pre-form or pre-cud of sorts. So eventually, this piece of the die will fall off. And the one thing that you want to know about retained die breaks, or retained cuds, or pre-cuds, or however you want to classify them as, is that you're going to have 2 die cracks that go into the devices, and then they'll kind of snake their way through, and then they will exit back to the rim. So you're going to have two areas where cracks go to the rim. And usually you'll see displacement. And then what I mean by displacement, you'll see like a shift in the design to notate that that piece of the die has shifted at the strike. This is a really nice example. I found a few of these myself. Never had found the fully developed cut where the piece of the die had fallen out. But these are very desirable because of the date. You know, this one-shot year, unique composition. This one sold for $36 in its current condition, and that's with 22 total bids. All right, on to a off-center 2001 Lincoln Memorial cent. Now, this again is one of the more common dates that you would find off-center struck coinage, most specifically Lincoln's. This one right here is in really nice shape. It does have a little bit of a carbon spot here on the reverse, but that's kind of a negligible attribute or negative attribute to this coin. But even still, this one sold for $18. Someone looking to build a date set of off-center coins with a full date on there, this is probably a really good example for that. Now this is really cool. This is a much newer colorized 2009 $10 Federal Reserve note. You guys are familiar with these. It's miscut. There's no misaligned printing or anything. First and third print on here is way shifted high, so we do have a cutting error. The note is pretty well circulated, and you can see the top of the next note on the subject sheet right there. That's how cool this one is. You know, they're not going to be the easiest things to find, but they are definitely worthwhile. Even the second printing on the back is cut off as well. So the whole note was affected. The whole sheet, I would imagine, has quite a few of these miscut notes in there. So the original asking price was $202 for this one. The seller did accept an offer of $150, which is just an insane amount of money. And it goes to show you that these kind of gems do exist out there in circulation today. So make sure you look out for these and you don't overlook them. They are kind of hard to miss, by the way. So here's one of those no-date Lincoln memorials that are off-center. This one's off-center by about 60–65%. The coin has its issues. It's got carbon spotting and whatnot on there. But this is being sold by one of my favorite sellers. You know, you get that marquee kind of like maroonish blood red background is unmistakable. But this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $25.60, and that's with 11 total bids combined. Here's another one right here, this time a 1990. This one's in decent shape. And again, this is just a premier example of an off-center coin, a little bit tougher date. You don't find these earlier dates of the copper-coated zincs in off-center struck fashion, but this one's pretty good. If you're looking again for that particular date of an off-center coin with a full date in there, this is it. This one sold for $21. And then again, from that same seller as the 1990 rather, Lincoln that we saw previous is a 67 Lincoln Memorial with one singular curved clip. You can see right there. And then you can see a little bit of the flattening, especially on the back edge here. So that's what that looks like. It's a decent example. And, you know, there are some people that collect these clips all across the board, again, by date. This one sold for $11. Now, I thought this one was pretty neat. I've never personally found one of these, but maybe you guys there on the East Coast should definitely pay attention to this one. But it's a 2005 P. This is the remake of the Buffalo Nickel, as you can see on the reverse. Some people would look through these nickels to try and find that elusive speared buffalo. You guys know what I mean. It's simply just a die gouge. It goes right through the buffalo, right in the middle center of the coin right here. However, this one's quite interesting. It's not a die gouge, but it sure as heck is a crack from what I could see, because you can just see a little bit of a chip here. The crack goes down the rump area and then into the fields, which strangely kind of looks like a speared buffalo, but in a different sense. Okay, the 2005, was it D, I believe? is actually a die gouge. This one is a crack, but they look pretty similar to me. This one sold for $29, and I think it's more of an oddity play here, kind of a scarcity play, because I've never seen another one quite like it. So you guys definitely should look out for this. They are worth pulling out, even, you know, just adding to your collection as an example, or selling it. Because right now, you know, that's like over half a tank of gas for someone that cares about that. Oh, here's another one of my favorites. I actually loved it so much that this particular seller had a number of them for sale. And guess what? I picked one up. Now, it's not this one here, but this is a 2015 P Homestead America the Beautiful quarter. This one is indeed the WDDR, or Double Die Reverse, number 4. All right, and that's going to come in the form of the doubled pump handle here in this little windowsill area. Which is quite strong and remarkably, incredibly just defining of the double dies that exist for this particular ETB quarter. And there's a lot of them. So this one right here, again, is the big one. Sold for $23.87. I believe he has like 4 or 5 left of this coin. He's sold through over half of them. But it's just a remarkable looking coin. And if it's any indication of like grade, these are really solid mint state type coins. Always good to find one of these. Now, the pictures are not that great. They're a little bit dark, but there is no mistaking. These are a set of the high and low leaf Wisconsin quarters. Remember, these are 2004 Ds. These are Denver produced coins. These were originally released in the southern U.S., most notable Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas region. Some of them have made their way across the country. Someone had sold one from Massachusetts like a month or 2 back, so there is that. But the coin on the left has that little lower leaf there, variety, and this one has the higher leaf that comes up and curves up to the left. Generally, this coin will have neither of that, so these are both of the special type varieties to look for. Yeah, this one sold for a little bit less than I think the market would normally command. 17 bids altogether, and it realized $92.50. I think the pictures played kind of a role in its low sell price, along with the overall end of the listing that specific time. I believe these ended earlier this morning, which if you were going to sell coins or any collectible for that matter, make sure you end your auctions in the afternoon, you know, when people begin to come home from work and, you know, they're just chilling on the couch and they have time to look for stuff like this. 1982 P Candy half dollar. I'm willing to bet you guys know what we're looking for here, but this is one of the marquee dates where you'll find the abraded die or simply just the missing FG initials, which will show up in this little tiny crux area between the tail feathers and the left leg of our eagle friend here. There's no initials to be found, and this is actually in the Cherry Picker's Guide. This one sold for $18.50, which, you know, again, like I'm telling a lot of half-dollar roll hunters, make sure you're looking out for this one. It's worth approximately 90% half dollars. Also, check out your scrap silver. We have a really nice 1924 piece dollar. But check that out on the reverse. We got a nice strike through. So some little scrap of metal or something had landed on the blank before it was struck, and then there you go. You have a nice absent little area right there where that item was on. But this is a common date, and judging from the overall condition of the coin, I would say that this was probably, you know, like a scrap silver bin type of sale. However, this coin here, through 2 bids, sold for $67.95. A cool little double up in profit. Nothing to see here. I mean, literally, it's just a Lincoln Memorial cent that looks crazy. It's got no date, so we don't know what year this is. But number one, it was broad struck. I mean, that's apparent, right? but it's also got a pretty big indent in there too. So there was a scrap or, you know, something else that was on, that overlapped on the coin. That's what that is. And yeah, pretty crazy. By the way, it's a copper-coated zinc coin. And this one sold for $55, and that's with 2 bids. The likelihood that you'll ever find this in change is pretty low, unless, you know, you still have access to original mint sealed bags of coins. I know they ended that program around 2003, so more than likely this is a pre-2003 coin. Few more coins left. We got 1952 Washington quarter. Again, check your scrap silver. This one has a pretty nice either retain, or not retain, but strike through lamination, or a lamination peel that had come off, a detachment of some sort. It's really hard to say, but this one is pretty cool. It's very strong. And this thing probably fell out a long time ago. Probably fell out after it was minted, I would say. Because the circulation, just the goop and the grease and dirt and stuff had built into this area over time. But what is this, like a $5, $6 coin normally based off of silver melt value? This one sold for $15.95, and that's with 4 bids combined. Excuse me. It's funny, I have this same exact very coin. It's a 1989 P Roosevelt Dime. It doesn't look like much, but do you notice this blob right here? Yep, we have another Cud die break, and it's right there, right above the crown of his head. Or not exactly the crown of his head, but the back of his head right there. Yeah, I have the same Cud. I found it in a cash register, out of all places, way back in like 2015, when I was still doing retail work. But this is cool, man. You know, 4 bids altogether. It sold for $29.50. Cuds are king right now. Make sure you take advantage of looking for these on the reverse, on the obverse. They could show up anywhere. Another Cud right here. If you're a Lincoln Wheat Cent searcher, this is another one to look for. 1945 Lincoln Wheatie. This one right here sold for $33.26. 10 bits combined. You could just see that Cud right there, and then you could also see the corresponding weakness on the back of the coin. You want to make sure that exists there as well. Here's a Jefferson Nickel. Actually, it's got a partial date. It's from the 40s, I could tell you that much, but this was a coin that was struck and then it split after the strike. So we have a defective planchet right here at one point. It's still pretty defective. It's got a cool looking kind of like a cobblestone kind of granite look to it, you know, and that's usually the case for these nickels when they kind of like peel away a layer, and you know, it looks like this, but that's exactly what we have here, split after the strike. And wow, $48 for this thing, 13 bids altogether. All right, so the coin doesn't look like much from the back of it. But boy, all the good stuff's on the front. Kind of like a mullet. We have a 2006 Colorado State Quarter. This is a Denver. You believe that? But this is a coin I believe that you don't find quite that often. I'm sure this one looks like, based off of condition alone, was probably found in a mint bag or a roll. And what we have here is really an end of strip defective planchet. So when you get, you know, these coin planchets are punched out of a long strip. And usually the planchets that come from toward the end of them, you know, they kind of have the little splits and fissures and all that stuff. This is probably one of them. All right, just looking at it. No, it's not damaged. It's not. Trust me. But really cool coin. And wow, did this thing sell for a boatload of money? 18 bids altogether. There was a lot of eyes on this one. Sold for $159.50. I'd also like to add that you don't see this kind of error on much newer coins. It's actually quite scarce past like 1975. You know, that's how tough it is to find these types of ragged clips or fissures or whatever you want to call it. But just a really cool coin. Congrats to not only the person that found it, but the seller, the buyer. I think everybody hit it pretty good with this one. When was the last time you saw a candy half dollar with 3 clips in which one of them was so big that, I don't know, you just don't see a clip that of this magnitude quite that often. But yeah, there are 2 other smaller, shallower clips. This one's more straight than anything else. So you have like 2 curved clips, 1 straight clip. And yeah, you can see the Blakesley. Look how flat and weak this area is right here. I mean, this thing is just a bomb and a half. Sold for $158.50. This is probably one of my favorites of this report. And then finally, we're going to end it off on a much older Lincoln wheat cent. This one is off center by about 10%, but look at that, 1945S. The coin is in beautiful shape. And yeah, this is a target coin for a series collector, or a date collector rather, of this type of error. There can't be too many of these in 45S. 16 bids, and it sold for $64.98. Jeez Louise, a lot of beautiful, very unique coins this week, stuff that I've never talked about. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Did you have a favorite from today's Pocket Change Market Report? Would love to hear it. All right. And again, I would say my couple favorites were the 2006D Colorado State Quarter with the ragged clip Fisher thing going on. The 2008 Cud thing at the very beginning of the video, which is actually our thumbnail coin, was also one of my favorites. That die break that goes into the head. But yeah. Yeah, if you can imagine it, all this stuff at one point was found in circulation. And I know there's a lot of skepticism because, you know, of a coin shortage, but even if you went out to the bank, they will still give you a few rolls of stuff. I would take advantage of that as we go into the holidays. It's just going to get even more difficult to find actual coins out there. And we didn't even get to scratch the surface on brand new 2020 and 2021 coins with a myriad of different mint issues and quality control mishaps. They are out there. There's a ton of extra money that you can make off these finds today. Go ahead and get your lion's share. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Thank you again for all of your views, support. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and possibly hit the dislike button if you don't like me or this video at all. You know, all the engagement means the world to me. But that's going to go ahead and do it. You guys are fantastic. Love you. I'll see you guys on the next coin video. Coinaholics, we are discovering together. And yeah, that's it. Take care, and I'll see you in a day or two.